This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting from Tokyo, Japan. We turn now to the founder of one of the largest peace groups in Japan. In 1983, Tatsuya Toshioka and a group of other students formed Peace Boat as a response to government censorship of history books regarding Japan's past military aggression in the Asia-Pacific. They chartered a ship to visit neighboring countries and build people-to-people exchanges. 3 decades later, Peace Boat now operates a chartered passenger ship that travels the world on peace voyages. The group also organizes against the use of nuclear weapons, nuclear power, and other forms of militarism. After the 2011 earthquake and tsunami, the Peace Boat's Disaster Relief Volunteer Center organized thousands of volunteers to help in the relief and rebuilding effort. Peace Boat founder Tatsuya Yoshioka joins us here in Tokyo. We welcome you to Democracy Now!
Thank you very much.
Tell us more about just what Peace Boat is, both the boat and what you're trying to do to ensure that the history of Japan is told accurately in the schools here.
Yeah, I think that the Peace Boat is quite a unique point. Is actually we are organizing the cruise voyage by the passenger ship, quite a big passenger ship like this one. This is the ship. Anyway, that's in this scale, try to bring the young people, especially, and to learn that the past history through their own experience there. So I think that it is very difficult, especially for young people, to study about or to understand that the reality of the history. They're only just learning in a classroom or in a university. So I think for me, this is a kind of the very live, the active way of the learning of the past, the issue and past history. So, and that base of the building the peace, that is my strong belief, especially East Asia.
Talk about what you're doing onshore here in Japan, what you're doing in the schools.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems is the government and also the teachers. They're not so, they're quite the negative or the passive to tell the truth of the past history, especially about the Japanese invasion or aggression in the past. And my point of view, of course, if we really would like to make a friendship with the neighborhood, with the Koreans and the Chinese, of course we have to understand that what's happened in the past, right?
I think for a U.S. audience, an American audience, or an audience outside Japan, outside of Asia, they may not be familiar with the history that you're talking about. If you could summarize it for us, what you're most concerned gets told.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most important points we have to face to the truth, especially what we have done in a committed war crime or such ugly things. And otherwise, if we try to avoid to face to that truth in the past, and especially that terrible issue, so and nobody respect us, whatever we are saying about the peace, because I think the peace is coming from the very strong will not to repeat again.
Talk about the Massacre of Nanking, which at the time in 1937 was the Chinese capital.
Yeah, so and that is maybe that is quite a lot of people know is that especially historians that is hundreds of the Chinese people were killed by the Japanese the soldiers at that time, and enormous amount of the ladies raped and so on. And this issue is for Chinese people is a very serious and very hard memory. So. And,
what was happening in 1937? How did this take place?
Oh yeah, the Japanese troops occupied that Nanjing at that time, the Chinese capital. And the Japanese troops started to really, let's say, everything what they can do there. So, and the victims, as I said you, that several thousands of the people they killed. So. But now the point is in the Japanese society, including the government, try to start to delete this history from the history textbook or in the public discussion. So I think I'm really worried about that.
So talking about the number of people who were killed in the massacre of Nanking, we're talking about the range of 200,000 to 300,000 Chinese people?
Yeah, that is mainly Chinese people saying, and but there is a lot of opinion. But quite reasonable. The historians, the opinion is between 100,000 to the 200,000. I think that is something like that. But for me, the number is the human life is not a number, and I think that's even the 300,000 or even 50,000. That is a terrible past truth. Yeah.
Is the narrative, what happened there, as it's told in Japan and taught in schools, has it changed over time?
Yeah, quite changed. That 30 years ago started something like in the school, not school, in so-called the commentators or the critics people, that these people start to say maybe that was not happened in Japan. Huh. And that's the beginning of the 1980s. But now, quite a lot of people that try to avoid, say, massacre or such kind of strong word. They are saying something, Nanjing Incident. Yeah, this 30 years is really the history of to start to delete or to make the vague our history. That is my feeling. But that is more and more provoke among the Chinese people to against the Japanese pacifism.
How does this all fit in with the current Prime Minister, the most conservative since World War II, Prime Minister Abe, visiting the Yasukuni Shrine?
Yes.
Explain the significance of that visit and the shrine.
I think that is really, even as a Japanese, very unacceptable, the action by himself. I think maybe
Who's buried there?
That is including the 7 war criminal who has judged by the Tokyo trial.
These are the Class A war criminals.
A class. A class. Yeah. So, and it means that they are leading and they are committed the war crime during the World War II, and that there as a god. Maybe that is a system of the Japanese shrine system. As a god, they are there. And
how did Prime Minister Abe explain this visit, one that recent prime ministers had not made? Yeah,
that is what most the tricky point. He's saying that just he would like to play for the victim of the Japanese soldier, but they are not. These 7 is especially they are not a victim. They forced to the Japanese soldier to go there in China and many Asian countries and kill other people, and that Japanese soldier also die. So I think this is a very important point. Is the Yasukuni Shrine is including the war leader of the war, the aggression, and also victim of the Japanese soldiers.
Can you talk about Article 9 of the Constitution, the one that says that Japan should not have an army? The U.S. ensured that was in the Japanese Constitution after World War II. Yet now the U.S. Is pushing for it to be removed, as is the government, the current government. Explain the significance of Article 9 and what Peace Boat is pushing for.
Okay, I think that as a Peace Boat, we organized a global conference for the Article 9. The reason why is that this peace constitution is a very important peace and stability.
You call it the peace constitution.
Yeah, we are calling it peace constitution, but especially Article 9 is in that peace constitution is the most important part to renounce the war and also military. And this is a very historical irony. And in the beginning, the United States, as a ruler of Japan, completely force the Japan is demilitarized. But after that, Cold War started. So the U.S. government, they start to force us to have the military, even that
so peace constitution. So the very government that demanded Article 9, no army, then is pushing for Article 9.
Exactly.
Removal.
Especially that's the Korean War. At that time is a turning point. And after that, continuously, the U.S. government is pushing Japan to more and more militarize. And as one of the military of the U.S. military.
Will Article 9 be removed?
Yeah, so in Article 9 that is one of the annoy the existence for the U.S. Policy, I think, even now. And that's why this is a very strong, struggle for the Japanese organization, the peace organization, to try to protect this one, to really keep the peace and stability in this region. But I would like to add one thing, that is Article 9 is not only that. I think this is a kind of very strong peace message from the experience of terrible war. And more than 200,000 people died in the Asian Pacific through the war. So, and I think that the soul of these peoples is becoming the Article 9.
Tatsuya, finally, talk about nuclear power.
Yeah.
And just this week, as we're here, the government has announced they're going to push for more plants, nuclear power plants. Yet, clearly, the Japanese population is increasingly opposed to nuclear power, yeah, with Fukushima and the meltdowns at the plant.
Yeah.
Talk about what Peace Boat did during the aftermath of Fukushima and your feelings about nuclear power.
Yeah, we organized the big scale of the nuclear power-free global conference, the year 2012. And but the reason why is I think that Japan experienced Hiroshima and Nagasaki, as you know, and now we have the Fukushima. So and if the Japan start again to promote the nuclear power plants, this is a terrible message to the world. Something like even who suffered so much, we still insist about the nuclear power plants. I think that is completely, we make some kind of the wrong message to the world. So, and I really insist that is a nuclear weapon experience, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and we have the Fukushima experience, and still victim is suffering continuously, and we are leaking the contaminated water to the Pacific Ocean. So what we have to do is, I think, very clear. And also, I would like to add, this is quite relate with the right-wing Japanese people would like to nuclear weapon armed, because the nuclear power plants, they continuously produce the plutonium. And this is a material for the nuclear weapon. I think that already some right-wing politicians start to discuss openly about the necessity of the nuclear arm for Japanese. I really cannot accept that as a country who experienced Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It's quite remarkable when you look at recent Japanese history, the bookending, the only country to have 2 atomic bombs dropped on it by the United States, and then now, close to 70 years later, you have Japan, yeah, what, 30% of the electricity of the energy comes from nuclear power, with a push to 50% by 2030. Yeah. But then Fukushima happens.
Exactly.
So how are people organizing?
I think that I really hope still Japanese people, more than half, that willing to the nuclear power, the society, but that unfortunately the government is completely taking the other direction. So, and I think that's the only way is we really have to promote with the peoples the nuclear power plant society.
Well, Tatsuya Yoshioka, I want to thank you for being with us.
No, you're welcome.
Co-founder and director of Peace Boat. Since the 1980s, he's been organizing voyages to educate people about Japan's invasions of Asian countries and to promote reconciliation as well as peace. Peace Boat was critical also after the earthquake and tsunami of 2011. This is Democracy Now! When we come back, we look at the TPP, the Japanese perspective on that, and also may end up going to the U.S. Congress to find out what's happening there today with the hearings. Stay with us.